Hi friends, my name is Belle. I'm a Twitch streamer and I make YouTube videos on here sometimes, and I'm also a girl. Can I just say, I love girls. We have the cutest hobbies and passions, and we also got dealt a bad card on multiple levels. Women are looked at as the inferior gender, but also, what the fuck even is gender?
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.
I noticed a lot of people talking about what it means to be a girl's girl in response to the Ariana Grande homewrecking situation. And yeah, she's not a girl's girl, but we didn't need this situation to reveal that. I can give you 3 reasons right off the top of my head. Number 1, the cosplaying different races part. Number 2, never saying a negative thing about Dan Schneider, Nickelodeon Foot King. And number 3, cosplaying different races, and that part needs to be said twice because what the actual fuck. So I am going to get more into this later, but right now I really want to nail down the internet definition of what a girl's girl really is. So I found this article from Distractify that tries to explain what a girl's girl is through TikTok's definition. And the first sentence of this article is, and I shit you not, "Are you a girl's girl or are you just a bitch?" So we're off and running with a misogynistic start. The author continues, "Now that we have your attention, a real girl's girl has her BFFs back. If your friend has been staring, even giggling at the coral lipstick on your front tooth all night, she's not a girl's girl. If she forgot to tell you about that toilet paper stuck to the bottom of your stiletto heel, she is not a girl's girl." So I take this as the author describing a girl's girl as someone who's looking out for the appearances of other women so men won't find them sloppy. It's nice, I suppose, but I feel like it's still upholding the hyper-feminine archetype that not every girl falls into. So she sums it up. "When it comes down to it, a true girl's girl is for the ladies, for the gals, and she'll do just about anything to lift up another woman, whether she knows her personally or not. Can we get a round of applause for women?" So I think though exclusionary in rhetoric, the author has good intentions here, but she doesn't really answer the question or even ask, what does it really mean to uplift other women? It has to go further than just looking out for appearances or not stealing someone's man, which I feel like this video by TheTake on YouTube is trying to say, but does still kind of miss the mark. This video describes the modern-day girl's girl as a true feminist, which means a girl's girl must be aware of oppressive systems and even acknowledges that some of these BuzzFeed-esque articles about being a girl's girl perpetuate classic stereotypes about what femininity should or shouldn't look like. It concludes neatly by saying modern-day girls support liberation and happiness for all. So far, the definition of a girl's girl seems to be a fellow woman. Again, this feels exclusionary in not addressing the elephant in the room that many people relate or have deep experiences with femininity, but might not use that label, for example, trans men or non-binary people. But so far, the definition on the internet of a girl's girl seems to be a fellow woman who supports all those marginalized and wants to see the patriarchy dismantled. And this manifests through simple acts of respect and kindness towards each other. And I think that it is easy to say that we support marginalized groups and want the patriarchy dismantled, but what does that look like in practice, and how do we respond when our fellow community members aren't being girls? So we're going to react to this great TikTok I found while researching the common definition for being a girl's girl, because I think this describes how this scenario usually plays out amongst cis straight women. And it does have a good question at the end.
I was explaining to my boyfriend the other day what a girl's girl is because I used it in a sentence and he was like, "What's a girl's girl?" And I got to thinking and I was like, what's the opposite of a girl's girl? Would it be like a pick-me girl, or I don't know what it would be. So I'm trying to explain to him what a girl's girl is, and the best description I can come up with is a girl who views other girls as allies instead of competition, right? The only reason we were even on this topic was because we had just gone out to dinner with this group of people, and I was telling my boyfriend that one of the girls there just didn't sit right with me for some reason. And he was trying to ask me why I didn't like her because I usually like most people initially, and I couldn't even come up with any valid reasons. Literally the only reason I could come up with was just that I could tell she wasn't a girl's girl, which must sound crazy to a guy, so I get why he was confused. But it was just like whenever she was talking or telling a story, she would direct all of her attention to the guys at the table, especially my boyfriend, to be honest. And it seemed like she was trying to ask all the guys questions and be like super interactive with with all the guys, but was not directing like any attention toward the girls or like trying to talk to them at all. And my friend noticed it too. And then whenever I would say something to the group, she would kind of side eye me and give me like a nasty look. And then she would start talking to her friend and like act like she wasn't listening. And then whenever the guys were like telling a story or saying something, she would start like laughing really loud, laughing at jokes that like weren't really that funny. But she was pretty much just pretending that like every girl there like did not exist. Like ignoring them when they spoke, literally just didn't exist. I also knew a girl like that in high school where her like entire personality would change as soon as there was a guy in the room. Like it was not the same girl. And then the classic like starts putting other girls down and making fun of her friends in a way that she normally wouldn't if there wasn't a guy there. Like would be competing with us essentially. Like was trying to make us look bad to make herself look better. Which to be honest with you, I feel like when people do that, it makes them look worse. Because like why do you have to put your friend down to try to make yourself look better? That just makes you seem like an evil person. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like that's a totally valid reason not to necessarily care for someone. And as girls, I feel like we all have this like spidey sense where we can tell off the bat if someone's a girl's girl or not. And I live, laugh, love girls people. Like I vibe with them. But when I can tell like off the bat that another girl is not like for the girls, I just can't. I can't like be friends with that type of person. Because I feel like that's a friend that's just gonna stab you in the back in the future. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. That's just the conclusion I've come to. Do I think that's a valid enough reason not to like someone? Let me know.
I think the creator of this video instantly makes the topic accessible to straight women by saying, look, I'm attracted to men, but I'm still for the girls, and here's what you've experienced at some point, which you can probably relate to. So though narrow in experience, she does ask a great question at the end, which is this a valid enough reason to not be friends with someone? I think yes, and let's look at Ariana Grande as an example in particular. Since you were probably hoping for a video about me ripping her apart for being a homewrecker. Surprise! I tricked you! I absolutely do not care about upholding the suburban family unit. I can acknowledge that Ariana's actions deeply did harm another woman, but this goes much further than stealing SpongeBob generational wealth pants from another woman. So if we want to start talking about what it means to be a girl's girl, then let's go all the way here. The biggest red flag of Ariana's comes from her appropriation of other cultures. If being a girl's girl means being a feminist, and being a feminist means supporting liberation for all women, you cannot claim to be a true feminist whilst benefiting from racism and the patriarchy, while not even addressing it or seemingly aware of it at all. I admittedly don't know much about Ariana. The only song I really enjoyed of hers was The Way, and I later found out that that song was written by Jordin Sparks. So, this was around the same era that Ariana engaged in blackfishing by purposely making her skin more tan.
I'm like, bitch, that's my cookie, that's my juice, okay? Thank you, next. That's what this baby picture says. The dancing scene in this video was actually inspired by Sweet Charity and the wardrobe.
You know, I love my MAC lipstick. This is the MAC I'm here to talk about today, girl. Come on.
Kill me, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
What the hell is even that?
Not only did Ariana take an opportunity away from Jordin Sparks, she also noticed that appropriating that persona would benefit her career, and she did just that. Currently, Ariana has moved on to a different persona, and this article by FemmeStella appropriately points it out. No stranger to accusations of blackfishing, Ariana Grande has recently been called out for ASIANFISHing in a recent photo shoot that arguably makes her skin very fair, with her makeup being done in a way that creates a monolith effect with a fox eye shape. Many have taken to Twitter and Reddit to point out her history of racial ambiguity to build her success and relevance in the spotlight. I really don't want to see she's reaching in the comments. We need to call a spade a spade. Perpetuating racial stereotypes is directly dangerous to marginalized communities, and Ariana never acknowledging her wrongdoing on this matter is just simply inexcusable. I highly encourage you to check out some videos from Black or Asian creators about this topic specifically. I will have some videos I recommend in the description. If we want to start using this term girl's girl, then we need to fully understand how our predecessors in feminism were exclusionary to which women deserved rights and which women did. White women didn't walk up to black women and say, "Get in, loser, we're taking on the patriarchy." They weren't invited to the conversation. I'm gonna read a little snippet from a New York Times article here, but I will link some books about this topic below. When suffragettes gathered in Seneca Falls, New York in July 1848, they advocated for the right of white women. The participants were middle and upper class white women, a cater of white men supporters, and one African-American man, Frederick Douglass. The esteemed abolitionists had forged a strong working relationship with fellow abolitionists and white women suffragists, including Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. No black woman attended the convention. None were invited. White feminism is rooted in racism. Susan was pissed black men were getting any sort of respect before educated white women. She was not rooting to tear down systems that oppress all women. She just wanted to be in the club. Ariana is an example of somebody in that club. And it has been that way since the Nickelodeon days, where she found her success by catering to the male producers and her executives with her ditzy, infantile persona, Cat Valentine. Allegedly, all for jokes, goofs, and gags, the culture on the set of Victorious was one where if you engaged in drinking, drugs, and partying, sexual activity, or sexual provocation for the producers, you would have more screen time. Jennette McCurdy often cites the creator, allegedly Dan Schneider, pressuring her to drink by referencing the Victorious cast and the iCarly kids needing an edge to compete. I want to make something very, very clear, okay? Ariana Grande is also a victim of grooming from the predatory community that was fostered by Dan Schneider and his colleagues on the Nickelodeon set, allegedly for goofs and gags. Though one cannot blame her for catering to their fetishes when she was only a child, her continuous praise of Dan Schneider to this day absolutely calls into question any sort of authenticity she has. And I think this problem exists in multiple different identities colliding, and our binary society makes it very difficult to discuss these things simultaneously. You can be a victim and have privilege, but being a victim does not exempt you from never acknowledging that privilege. I can have empathy for all that Ariana's been through while also wanting her to acknowledge her privilege and wrongdoings. She really does need to acknowledge how a racist and patriarchal system has given her, a petite white woman, an open door to success. And I've noticed a correlation between white privilege and not being a feminist. When the patriarchy has carried you this far, why would you question it? When catering to male validation has given you financial or social capital, you're more likely to compete with other women, because why would you want to cheer them on if that could potentially make you lose your spot as the cool girl? And it seems catering to male validation has given Ariana more financial and social capital than really anybody ever needs, but it doesn't seem to be doing her happiness or mental health any favors. I'm assuming her constantly jumping from relationship to relationship is just a desperate attempt to regain any sense of identity, and feeling lost like that truly must suck. And I don't think the answer to these complex problems is vilifying Ariana for just not being a girl's girl, because reducing it to only that now because of SpongeBob is ignoring what people of color and victims have been telling us about her for years. I guess I think it's more productive to reference those who have asked Ariana to acknowledge her past in cultural appropriation and lack of comment on the predator who boosted her career, rather than pouncing on a woman for making a dumbass mistake in her personal life. We can call her out and lead by example, but dogpiling on her with archaic slut-shaming just does not feel girls girlish. You probably noticed me saying, if we want to use the term girls girl, a lot in this video, because I don't think we should use it, and I don't think it's a productive term. I think it reinforces binary thinking and excludes people who haven't reached the same level of unlearning as you have. It's completely okay to set boundaries and prioritize friendships that gratify you, but instantly vilifying another woman can't be helpful. Don't be purely hateful to that person. Just set the boundary that you don't want to be friends with someone that values cis male validation over genuine community, because that person isn't safe to be around. We have to continue to think critically and with empathy. We're at a point in feminism where we're hating on other women for not fully supporting women, and everybody has a different definition of what it means to support women. My definition is you have to work on unlearning misogyny, capitalism, and racism, because if you want to support women, you have to actively work to dismantle the systems that oppress all women. But some people's definition of being a girl's girl is simply trying their best to uplift feminine presenting people on a daily basis. So I think excluding the people who have a different definition than we do will only further divide us. We all have to unlearn misogyny. The question is, what is the best way to inspire not only women, but people of all gender identities to actually realize this? It can't be using simple terms like girls, which only opens the door to further villainize women and writes them off with a simple phrase rather than acknowledging the complex reasons behind this behavior. Capitalism, sexism, and racism have crippling effects on the psyche. We grow up in such a cold, patriarchal society that some women forget how amazing genuine female friendship is, or maybe they've never even known it at all. I mean, shit, we don't get many good examples. So what do? We gotta be the examples. We have to be the ones who throw out the old systems completely and build new, inclusive communities. Again, this does not mean you should let people who make you feel unsafe into your space. Find out what your boundaries are, maintain those boundaries, and lead by example. I'm gonna use an anecdote to explain this. So I worked at this little gift shop for quite some time, and when I first started working there, I had an older male manager, and his girlfriend would come in nearly every day just to say hi to him, bring him a coffee, whatnot. And I had noticed, let's call her Jenny. And so she would come in and I would go, "Hey, Jenny." And she would literally just ignore me like I wasn't there. So at every, "Hey, Jenny," just One day, the first thing she said to me was, let's just say his name is Mark. Where's Mark? I think that was the first thing she ever said to me, was asking where her boyfriend was. So I was like, okay, she's mean. She's mean. She does not like girls. Why don't people like girls? That's so freaking mean. And there were some days that I would literally hide in the bathroom when she would come in, because I would just be like, it would just make me so upset that someone could just like not acknowledge my existence, or just like hate girls so much that I don't want your man. I come here for money. And I literally looked worse than I do right now. Basically, the times that I didn't feel triggered, I attempted to make nice conversation with her and make her feel included. And eventually, she acknowledged me remotely kindly. And maybe that's the level she'll be on forever. But I'm glad I gave her as much empathy as I could and never pushed her away by calling her out with a conversation that she wasn't ready for, or responding with the same icky energy she was giving me, because, like, in my teen years, I absolutely would have done that. So I hope if a cis straight women, especially white women, see more examples of feminine presenting people creating non-judgmental spaces and communities to have these difficult conversations, they'll eventually be someone who wants to understand. So if you see a girl in the wild who gives off bad energy and you're having a bad day, just remove yourself from the situation. But if you're encountering this energy and you're having a good day, throw some kind words out, hope it sticks, and just be on your way. And try not to use the term girl's girl to describe someone who is or isn't an ally, because true equality won't be achieved with more binary phrasing. Next time you think to yourself, that's not a girl's girl, remind yourself of the real reason. That person values patriarchal approval over genuine community, which is both sad and dangerous. So set your boundary. And if you want to be a true ally, the unlearning never ends. I'm constantly swatting away misogynistic thoughts in my own head. Like, sometimes if a girl does give me a dirty look and I'm having a bad day, my first thought will be like, she's a bitch. And I have to stop myself from thinking like that and just kind of be like, who knows what kind of day she's having and what she's been through. So it's a constant battle in your own head. Giving people grace is not easy, but once you start to identify that everything boils down to racism and capitalism, you can be angry at the systems rather than the manifestations of those systems in people's character. The conversations become just a little bit easier to have when it's less personal and you have the words behind it, in my experience at least. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I really appreciate you hearing my thoughts. In the description, you'll find a list on the topics we discussed by some other creators and some book recommendations. Please let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe for more. I keep this channel as up to date as possible with my Twitch gaming VODs, and hopefully I can get a schedule for video essays soon, because I really like making stuff like this. Thank you guys.